digest food through enzymes rather than the muscle, which was what was previously thought. Now, if you look to your right, you'll see the United States Post Office here. So we have a saying on the island that goes, rain, sleet, snow, or hail, go and get your own dang mail. Unfortunately, mail is not delivered here. Packages do come to the island, and they are delivered, so Amazon does come here. 2-day shipping, though, does not apply. Now, to the right, you're going to see the community hall. Now, this is one of the original buildings of John Jacob Astor's fur trading company here on the island, where one year they sold up to $3 million worth of fur, which would be around $80 million today. Now, also to the right is the police station, and behind that big bay door is going to be the island's deepest, darkest secret. I'll let you in on that secret, and that is going to be some emergency vehicles. So we do have some motorized vehicles here on the island. That's just because you don't want Grant and Larry here arriving after emergency. They would actually probably run the other way. Now also to the right is the Benjamin Blacksmith shop. So inside they do demonstrations and have that door open. But most of the time you smell it before you see it. Now also to the right is the Agatha and Edward Biddle House. Now this is the second oldest residential building here on the island. And it was only $100 for a down payment back then when they first bought it. Now to the left is Cindy's Riding Stable. Cindy's is a place where you can go saddleback riding here on the island. You can take those horses almost anywhere. You can take them through different trails in the state park, which is pretty cool. Now also to our right, you're going to see the Mackinac Island Medical Center. So that is where we have one ambulance store. And we also have a helicopter pad, just in case anyone needs to get airlifted off the island. We do have one doctor that works there year-round. And it is going to be open Monday through Fridays, 9 to 4. So we do always ask that you schedule those emergencies accordingly. Sorry guys, the taxi's picking up some people, so I can't go around because I went this way. But don't worry guys, if you do have an emergency after hours, there is a number you can call, 911. Now to our left, there are these two green and white buildings. So the farthest green and white building is going to be called the Twilight, and this one right here is called the Windsor. Now these used to be hotels here on the island, but then they slowly ran out of business, so the Grand Hotel bought them out and turned them into employee housing. The Grand Hotel is the biggest employer here on the island, hiring around 500 to 600 seasonal workers every year. Now to the left, you'll see that yellow box back there. You probably saw one down by the ticket office. That's going to hold our island's newspaper called the Town Crier. It's going to be one of your cheapest souvenirs here on the island, only being $2. But do not worry if you cannot afford that, because Grant and Larry here have generously left you a free souvenir on the bottom of your shoe. Now this road that we are on currently is Market Street, but this used to be Main Street when the fur trading business was booming here on the island. But once tourism started taking over as the main industry, they decided to move Main Street down a block to where it is today. Now as we make this turn, if you look to our left, you'll see that yellow house right there. The geranium cottage, that is going to be our mayor's house. I don't know if you know our mayor, Margaret Dowd, but she is actually the longest running mayor in the country. She just got re-elected for her 51st year. Yeah. Now if you look to our left, you'll see this white stable. This is going to be the Chambers livery stable. Now the Chambers family are the ones that own these carriage tours and have been doing this for the past like 100 or so years. They've been doing it since before the Civil War, which is pretty crazy. Now our wedding carriages are now stored in there, as well as our hiding hackney horses that pull those wedding carriages. But it used to have our taxi services in there. Now the street that we are on right now is Cadott Avenue, but it is nicknamed Lilac Lane for all the lilac trees and bushes that we have up and down this road. Our oldest lilac is over 250 years old. We have 68 different varieties, 5 different colors, and 8 different species. We love the lilac season that happens in June because it's the one time of the year where the island smells good and not like horse poop all the time. Now, if you were to walk down this street to our left about half a block and then take a right, you would reach Jack's Stable. Jack's is a place where you can go saddleback riding as well, but it's also where you can try out my job for a couple hours if you would like. They have a drive your own carriage. It will be one horse instead of 2 horses, and they give you about a 10 to 15 minute crash course on how to drive them. Then they'll walk you up that hill and send you on your way. But do not worry, you're going to find out we're not very creative with names here on the island. We're still behind it. You would be surprised on how many golf balls make it into the street, either hit the horses, the carriages, or us drivers ourselves. Yes. Now, if you look to the left through those trees across the way, you may see the Mackinac Bridge, also known as the Mighty Mac. This is going to be the largest suspension bridge in the Western Hemisphere, and the 5th largest in the world. It stands 5 miles long, so twice the size of the Golden State Bridge. Back there, also on the left, is going to find our school, our public school that we have, which is K through 12. There's a total of 85 students total enrolled in it. So that means the graduating classes vary from 2 to 10 students. But we did, in fact, have our biggest graduating class this year of 11. Yes. Now, up here on our right, as we pass this tree, you're going to see that white house on top of the hill. Now, I would love to say that is where I live while I do this job. However, looking at that house, I don't think I'd be doing this job if I lived there. Plus, I'm not the governor of Michigan. That is going to be the governor's summer residence. It is owned by the state of Michigan. So it's the first becoming the governor. There's 25 rooms and 9.5 baths. Now, if you look to your left, you are going to see the Grand Hotel. And as you're looking at the Grand Hotel, you're going to notice that that front porch is quite long and large. That's actually the world's longest front porch. It stands 660 feet long. Now, the Grand Hotel was built in 1887 by 2 railroad tycoons and a steamboat line. The reason for building the Grand Hotel was to attract more tourism to the island. So I would say that they did a pretty good job. It originally had 180 rooms and now has a total of 393 rooms. Now, each room is all going to be individually themed, so you can stay at the Grand Hotel for a whole entire year and never stay in the same themed room. It's pretty crazy to think about. But you can't really see it, but in between these 2 balconies on the side of the Grand Hotel, maybe you can, there is a line that runs up and down the side of it. Now, everything in front of that first balcony is going to be all part of the original Grand Hotel, and then everything behind that first balcony is going to be what's been added on throughout the years. Now, having a little bit of an idea on how big the original Grand Hotel was, does anyone have any guesses on how long it took to build it? Any guesses? No guesses? Just a long time? 30 days? Wow. That is quick. Are we thinking higher or lower than 30 days?
Higher.
Higher? Okay. You would be right. 2 weeks? Oh, 2 years? That would be a good guess as well. You were close with the 30 days, though. That would be the closest guess.
90.
It did take, 90. 93 to be exact, actually, to build the original Grand Hotel. Now, the reason they needed this done so quickly was because they had already started booking the rooms before it was even standing. Now, in order to get this done very quickly, they hired around 300 to 400 workers to build the Grand Hotel. They had two teams and constructed it from the outside and met in the middle. Now, because they were so rushed and it was two different teams, miscommunications happened and so did mismeasurements. So in fact, when they met in the middle, they were actually slightly off by about a foot. Now, they did their best to fix it. However, you can still feel it on the Grand Hotel staircase. So if you do end up finding yourself stumbling or falling down those stairs, just know it's not your fault or the margarita's fault. It's just the way that it was built. But it is hard to see it because they have patterned carpet on those stairs and they actually slightly tilt the picture frames a little bit so that everything looks straight. But there are also two movies filmed here at the Grand Hotel. Does anyone know what either of those two movies are? Somewhere in Time with Jane Seymour and Christopher Reeve. Now, does anyone know the one before that? With Esther Williams and Jimmy Durante, 1946. It's an old one. It's okay. I can count on one hand how many people ever know that movie. But it's going to be this time for keeps. That was filmed here at the Grand Hotel. And in fact, because it was filmed here, they built the Grand Hotel pool in honor of Esther Williams because she's a former Olympic swimmer turned actress. So they wanted her to do a pool scene. However, you would not be swimming in the same pool as Esther Williams because she stuck her foot in and she said, "This is too cold, I refuse to shoot the scene." So in fact, they shot it in California. So, if you guys ever do watch the movie, you may notice that there are some palm trees in the background in that pool scene. And I don't know if you know anything about Mackinac Island, but we definitely don't have any palm trees here. That's one of the drive your own carriages. That could potentially be you guys in the future. But as we come up here, you're gonna look to our right and see the Jewel Golf Club and Pro Shop. That's where you can get all of your golfing necessities. And then if you look to our left, you are going to see this golf shuttle right here. And you'll notice that there is an opening in the back. Now that golf shuttle is for the golf course that we have been going by this whole time on the right. This is the Jewel, the Grand Hotel golf course here on the island. So we have actually only been going by the front 9 holes. Now the front 9 is actually called the Grand 9. But it's going to be one of these two golf courses in the world where you actually have to see a horse-drawn carriage to get to the back 9 holes. So that's what that golf shuttle is for. We have to take those golfers from the front 9 to the back 9. Now the back 9 is going to be called Woods 9 because it is called in the woods. And that's where you'll find the Grand Hotel restaurant called the Woods. But as we come up here, if you look to your left, you are going to see this carriage coming down the hill. Now that is one of the carriages in our museum. Now, we call that the presidential carriage. And that is because 3 presidents took a ride in that. They are going to be pulled by Heine Hackney horses, all of those antique carriages. And where you can find the rest of the carriages is behind this tree across the way in a green and red building that you may be able to see, which are going to be the Grand Hotel stables. So the Grand Hotel stables is going to be where all of those Grand Hotel horses are going to stay and live. So the Grand Hotel has a total of 12 horses. 6 of them are Percherons, and 6 of them are Hackney horses. Now they live in there, and the Grand Hotel stables is going to be the only free public stable you'll be able to access. Now those horses are living the life up in there. You'll see their stalls are very big, bigger than any dorm room I stayed in for college. You'll also notice that they also have a chandelier in there. And it doesn't smell very bad because they have this pine tree smell that comes through. So if I could be a horse, I'd be a Grand Hotel horse. But these guys are very well taken care of as well. But that's also where you'll find the carriage museum. And we saw one of those carriages, but we have 29 other antique carriages and sleighs. I know one of them was at least made by Mercedes. But as you can see, those carriages are still in great shape, that they can and will be used today. So that means if I wanted to, I could take Grant and Larry after work, hook them up to one of those carriages, and go for a little Amish burnout if I were to choose to. But I do enjoy my job, so I will not be doing that because I don't want to get fired. So maybe on my last day of work. But we have been making some stops up this hill. And it's just to give these guys a little bit of a breather. I don't know if you guys have ever walked up this hill. It's not an easy walk in the park. But these guys have no problem walking up here. They weigh between 1,500 and 2,200 pounds and can pull up to 5 to 6 times their own body weight each. So them pulling this carriage is actually like carrying a backpack. Now these guys are very well taken care of, as I said before. We like to say you're never going to see a skinny horse here on the island. That's because these guys have an unlimited hay buffet. They also get fed 3 times a day, which consists of a gallon of oats for each meal. And then on top of that, us drivers love to spoil these horses. So we will take our tip money and go down to Dow's and get them some apples and carrots. Now horses are very similar to us humans and have a huge sweet tooth as well. So that means I'll also pick up some Twizzlers, Jolly Ranchers, peppermints, and potato chips for them as well. But horses, again, like humans, it all depends on the horse. Some of them are picky eaters, some of them are not. Larry here, you put anything in front of him, and he'll try and eat it. Grant, on the other hand, he will be a little bit more cautious. He doesn't like Twizzlers. So he won't eat those. He'll eat carrots and apples, though. But where we are currently stopped, this is where all of the magic happens. This is our carriage tour stable, home to the world's largest working herd of draft horses. Carriage Tours owns around 450 horses. Yes. Now, right in front is our taxi barn. It's going to hold our taxi horses. Now, our taxi horses are going to weigh less than Grant and Larry here. They'll weigh between 680 and 880 pounds. That's because they're a mix between a draft and a standard horse, and that's so that they can trot with a carriage attached to them. We would never trot Grant and Larry with this carriage attached to them. Over time, it would actually start to strain their leg muscles because they weigh so much, and we don't want to hurt the horses. But attached to our taxi barn is our veterinarian's office. Now, does anyone remember how many doctors I said were on the island?
1.
Good job. You aced the only pop quiz I'll give you on the tour. This is Sparty and Biff, Black Percheron horses, my favorite team. Hi, Ingvar. Yeah, so while we have one doctor, we do in fact have 5 veterinarians. You can tell where our priorities lie. But you can see the difference between these taxi horses and Grant and Larry and how much smaller they are. Yeah, there's a joke in the barn that if you do get hurt, you just trot your way over to the vet's office and they'll check you out. And we did in fact have someone roll their ankle in the barnyard, and so they went to the vet's office and they wrapped their foot for them. But you'll also see those green and white carriages over there. Now those green and white carriages are going to be the world's largest horse-drawn passenger carriage. Now this carriage seats up to 20 people. And that green and white carriage actually seats up to 35 people. So that means instead of looking